Today on Hands On Photography, we're going to talk budget photography gear with the awesome Canon Explorer of Light, Miss Vanessa Joy. Y'all stay tuned.
This is TWiT.
No ads, just the content. That's what you get when you join Club TWiT. You even get extras like TWiT Plus, our new bonus feed just for members, and exclusive access to the Club TWiT Discord community. Join now for just $7 a month and support TWiT as we continue to create top-notch podcasts you expect and deserve. We're just getting started, so be one of the first to join as we build Club TWiT from the ground up. You could be an early member. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit to learn more and sign up now. Thanks.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Ant Pruitt, and this is Hands On Photography here on TWiT TV. Hope y'all are doing well. I am unbelievable as always. On this show, I like to sit down and share different tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer and a better post-processor, because they do go hand in hand. And then every now and then, I get the pleasure to sit down with some amazing photographers from the community. And this week is one of those weeks where I am blessed and overjoyed to be able to sit with the amazing Canon Explorer of Light, Miss Vanessa Joy. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing good. But did you just do a pun on my name about being because it would be great if you did.
Well, maybe. No.
I do it all the time.
How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I am unbelievable. I appreciate you joining me this week. This is just like I said in pre-show, I'm a fan and been following you for quite a while. I got started with finding out who you were, more so dealing with the Adorama Adorama store up in New York and their YouTube channel, and just got hooked ever since. And it's just a total joy to have you here with me. And I wanted to reach out and ask you about some of the series that you've been working on here recently. And I know you're a Canon Explorer of Light, so I'm pretty sure you're shooting with the latest and greatest cameras. And, yes, I love that R5. I love that R6. And, but you've been doing a series dealing with budget photography gear.
Right. And in transparency, I do get a little bit of crap from the YouTubers. It's just not budget enough. My response is always, well, do you want to buy me all that camera gear? Because I'm using what I own. This just happens to be what I own. Right. And well, you know this, I'm sure. You don't necessarily keep all the budget gear. I mean, I started on a Canon F1, like film camera. And then my first digital was the Canon 10D or D10, whichever one was worse. That was the first one I bought.
Way back.
Yeah, way back. But as you grow, you got to sell your old gear, right? Yep. To get what you need. And so I don't have it all. So my response to people is well, if you want to buy it from me, I will shoot with it.
That's a great answer. But yeah, I saw this one. The one that got my attention was, there's actually two of them. Episode 4. This is your most recent one. And it got my attention because one of the cameras that was used in this was the Sony ZV-1. Now, for the folks that are watching Hands On Photography and not subscribed to Hands On Tech, Hands On Tech is our other show where I actually demoed the Sony ZV-1. And I had my thoughts on that camera. I had my thoughts, but it is quite serviceable if you have the understanding of the exposure triangle and just decent framing and composition. And you paired that against the Canon M50 Mark II, correct?
Yes, which I'm obsessed with that camera. I just bought it for my mother.
It's such a tiny little body, mirrorless body. It's I don't believe it's full frame, right? It's APS-C, correct?
No, it's a 1.6 crop. It is such a good stinking camera. I shoot with it constantly on on my YouTube channel, and now it's my go-tos for the budget photography. I mean, it's less than $1,000, so I think that qualifies. It's not less than $300, so but it's still good.
Now take us through that particular session, because and Mr. Victor, he's our awesome editor here for Hands On Photography. I'm sure he's going to throw up some B-roll right now, just showing some kickbacks to the video. But can you walk us through just that scenario of, okay, I am now here in New York City, and I have an amazing model, and I have this type of lighting in here, or I don't have this type of lighting in here. Walk us through taking that budget camera and being able to produce some amazing shots.
Right. So for that particular episode, I was shooting with Miguel Quiles. He's a good friend of mine. And he was shooting with his Sony, the rest of the name I can't remember already.
ZV-1. The ZV-1.
There's only so much gear I keep in my head. I'm not a YouTuber viewer. I shoot with what I shoot with. So we decided to do natural light for that one. We were in a beautiful studio in Queens, New York that I had rented out actually during the very much height of COVID and the dead of winter. We, for the most part, had to stay masked. Otherwise, they literally were like, we will kick you out. So I'm like, okay, got it. Right. Our model was not. But we just played. We had these beautiful, huge windows, and why not use a little bit of natural light? We don't do that on every episode. In fact, most episodes do have a flash or strobe of some kind, or continuous lights off camera. But that one we did natural light, and we had a lot of fun. I stepped out of my comfort zone with that, and I try to do this with every episode. I was shooting with the 11-22, which is it's a crop sensor, so that's like 35 to 50-ish, let's just say.
Oh, okay, right, because it's on the crop sensor. Okay.
Right, but it's definitely much wider than I typically shoot, and I shot at an angle that I don't typically shoot with. So we try to just mess around. If we're not going to take the time to do the fun things that we want to do when we're not getting paid, then we'll never end up getting paid to do the fun things we want to do. Right.
Now, speaking of getting paid, if that's all they had, was this M50 Mark II or even the original one, would you recommend that, hey, you could still go out there and try to shoot and get a paid gig with this? Or should you wait to, spend a little more money on the bigger and better?
No, that M50 Mark II with the focusing system the way it is, enhanced from the previous version, and just up with Canon's awesome autofocus tech, you absolutely can shoot professional photography with it. I would say portrait photography would be a given with adults. I'd have photographed my kids with that.
Yeah.
I personally would not feel comfortable photographing a wedding with that. There's a reason I buy the R5, which is what you're seeing me on right now. It's faster. It can keep up in ways that less expensive cameras cannot, because obviously you're paying for that tech, that convenience, that advanced whatever,
right.
Blank. But I have heard photographers who do shoot weddings with the M50 Mark II. So you could. But it's definitely a beautiful line between like consumer, amateur, hobbyist, budding professional, semi-professional, and even it fills a lot of blanks. It really does. It's going to be, if it's not already, in a lot of people's hands. I recommend it from everyone who's starting out to, moms that just want to photograph better photos of their kids, things that their iPhone can't do.
Right. Just saying. My only problem with that camera and even with the Sony, I shouldn't say my only, but my biggest concern with those bodies are the size of them. This is a smartphone, okay? And I swear, holding up one of those cameras in my hand felt like I was holding a smartphone. I have giant hands. I have giant hands.
I have friends of mine make fun of my hands all the time. My mom used to tell me I had piano fingers, but then as I grew up, now my friends just tell me I have monster hands, which obviously I appreciate.
Well, see, now that makes sense considering I've seen you shoot with the 1DX Mark II, Mark III for a long time, and that is a tank of a camera. And I always thought, and I hate to come off as sexist or anything like that, but that 1DX is a tank. It is super daggum heavy. And I'm thinking she's doing weddings carrying that tank for hours and hours. How is she doing that? But you have a grip for it, so it wasn't terribly uncomfortable for you, is what it sounds like.
Well, I mean, the 1D series has that kind of integrated vertical grip, and I put it on the R5 because I enjoy that ergonomic feel.
Right.
And I also think it balances out the lenses. Like right now I'm shooting with the 28-70 2.0, and it balances out this camera really nicely when you have the vertical grip. But yeah, you should check out my TikTok today, because I had a little something to say about heavy cameras and like I got it.
She's got some guns. Yes, folks. Vanessa Joy is also quite fit. She's not only a photographer, but she's also a yoga extraordinaire as well. Yes, I know she does a lot of yoga to take care of herself. Much respect on that. Now, there was one more shot here. Let me see if I could pull it up on the screen without breaking the internet. Here we go. So yeah, this shot right here, this is another part of the series here. And sorry for my dog barking in the background, but this was another part of the series. This was episode 3, I believe. Again, using more budget equipment to pull off some amazing shots. I've said on a previous episode here of Hands-On Photography that I hate selfies. Can't stand them. I think they're just so awkward. I feel like if you're going to do selfies, put that energy into a self-portrait, put some thought behind the shot and come up with something way more interesting and captivating, if you will, such as that image there. Now, what was the thought on that shoot as far as the camera that you was using? It looks like you had some amazing backlighting behind you, and just take us through that one.
Right. So that was another budget photography gear series. It was episode 3, and I was shooting it with Irene Rudnick, and she's in Canada. Again, during the height of COVID, we weren't going to see each other by any means. And it was in the winter, and getting models was a little bit difficult. So I was like, let's just do self-portraits. And I decided that because I know Irene kind of does that too. So I knew she would be comfortable with it. So knowing her style, her beautiful style, that's soft, airy, ethereal, just absolutely, how do you call it, like classic beauty type photography that she does. I knew that was going to be how she photographed herself. And I knew there was no way I could compete with that. So I'm like, how about I do the exact opposite and go for like as ridiculous, edgy as I possibly can. And that's what I did. And with the lights that I chose, there are 2 of them. They're called the Westcott Bicolor Solix lights. They're continuous lights. They're not that expensive, like a couple $100 each. Yep. But you can change the color tone of them from warm to cool. So I want to be rough, edgy. I'm going to go for cool colors. So I lit myself and turned it as warm as I could on my face. And then the backlight was as cold as it could get. So it ended up, bouncing obviously on my face and making my backlight much more cold. So that's what I was going for there.
I see it now.
A little bit of edge. And then backlighting, I knew I had to have that just to bring out the shine in the latex, because that is a latex dress. And if you don't light it in a way that shows that shine that you can see on my hip, it just looks like any other black dress. When you want it to look like latex, you want it to have that sheen, that shine that's on there.
Well, in addition to it giving you that little bit of shine, it's really giving you some separation from the back of the, whatever it is behind you. So you have the lights there. That's a nice little, just something to grab some attention, but it just really makes you stand out and gives you a bit of a rim light in there. It's just so well done. Love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It only took like 700 pictures to get one I liked of myself.
Yeah, that's the story of all of us trying to shoot self-portraits. Yeah, that first one is never the one that's going to work for us.
But the cool thing about that is I was using the Canon M50 Mark II, but I didn't want to reach in, hit the shutter, timer, reach back. So I connected it to my phone and used the Canon
Connect.
Yes, app. I was able to see where I was, kind of like hit the pose and then take the photo. So it was helpful.
Now, see, Hands-On Photography listeners, does that sound like something I've said before? Yeah, I think so. That's good stuff. Now, if there's one more thing that you could tell everybody that's out there shooting with a camera, that's not the latest and greatest, what would you tell them as far as, just continuing on with this path of photography?
Well, what you said is the key. What do you want your path of photography to be? So I get asked all the time, what camera should I buy? What lens should I buy? And sorry, aside from budget, the thing that I ask them is, what do you want to do? And do you want to do that all the time, or do you want to go do something else later? Do you see yourself being a professional at some point? Because you really do have to lay that path out. You have certain amount of money to invest in your camera equipment. They're going to spend some of it on body and some of it on lenses, and you have to weigh that. But in addition to that, you have to weigh where you are going and where the tech is going. So right now, if somebody said, I would like a new camera and I want to be a portrait photographer, what would I tell them? I would tell them, you know what, if you don't have a lot of money, maybe go with the R or the RP. They are mirrorless cameras that are great quality, a little bit less expensive than, the latest and greatest R5, R6, and soon to be R3. But they have the RF mount, which is the lens line that is up and coming and continually growing right now. It's already here, but it's still growing. And that way you've put yourself in the position to grow into the glass that eventually you will be able to afford. And of course, the body as well. So you have to weigh your path, figure out the path.
Perfect. So well said. Miss Vanessa, thank you so much for joining me this week. This has just been a lot of fun. And I know it's been an interesting time for all of us here with this whole pandemic and 2020, the way it was, and you being a wedding photographer. That's just, I know that changed a lot for you last year.
A little bit.
And being able to pivot into doing some other things creatively, as well as continue to inspire folks to, hey, this is a tough year for everybody, but you can still keep pushing forward. I salute you, and I thank you for what you do for the photography community.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
All right. So, folks, that is going to do it for this week's episode. Another time where I get fired up and just have to tell myself, calm down just a second. Okay, get back to center. Okay, all right, I got this. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching this week's show. It really does mean a lot that you continue to support me. Again, if this is your first time catching hands-on photography, go ahead and consider subscribing to the show. We are available on all of those podcast applications out there. Y'all know what they are: Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and heck, we even got a YouTube channel. But if you can't quite figure out how to subscribe, just go to the website, twit.tv/hop. That's twit.tv/HOP for hands-on photography. And you'll see all of our subscription options there, as well as see all of our episodes and show notes, including today's episode, where I'm going to have a lot of notes in there for Miss Vanessa and all of her work. So be sure to check all of that out and click through and show her some support and love too. All right. And if you have any questions, feedback, comments, feel free to shoot me an email, hop@twit.tv. Again, that's hop@twit.tv, or you can tag and follow me over on the socials. I am Ant_Pruitt on Twitter, and I'm also Ant_Pruitt on Instagram. Thank you all again for the continued support, and thank you to my man, Mr. Victor, for making me look and sound good each and every week. Now, folks, you all safely continue to create and dominate, and we'll catch you next time. Y'all take care.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Micah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.